So Simple tutorial.
Good morning students, welcome to SST So Simple tutorial. This is Vijay Singh, your social science teacher for class 10. Today we will be doing one short revision of the lesson Gender, Religion and Caste. I assume that you have read and understood the lesson and are ready for the revision. So let us begin. This lesson, dear students, discusses three types of social differences that can take the form of social divisions and inequalities. They are, as you can see in the title of the lesson, social differences based on gender, social differences based on religion, and social differences based on caste. Let us begin with the gender division. Gender division, students, in simple words means the unequal roles assigned by the society to men and women. Traditionally, it was believed that gender divisions are natural and unchangeable. For a long time, for example, women were described as weaker sex who needed special protection. They were also thought to be lacking intelligence. Thus, it was felt denying women equal rights in society were justified. This gender division was reflected in the workspace available to women in relation to men. This workspace is defined in what we call sexual division of labor. Sexual division of labor is a system in which all work inside the home is either done by the women of family or organized by them through domestic helpers. So women do all the work inside home. She has to do cooking, cleaning, washing clothes and look after children. On the other hand, men do all the work outside home. Now the question that arises is that can men not do all those work that women do inside home? The answer is yes, they can, but normally they won't do because it is for the women to do. Just think, when you visit a restaurant, who is cooking food? They are mostly men. Who is washing clothes in the laundry? Mostly men. Who do you find mostly as tailors? Men. That means men are ready to do all such jobs if they are paid for. Men work outside and bring home money, so their work is valued. Since women work at home and do not earn money for the family, their work is not regarded as work. Their work is not valued. Their work does not get recognition. If women choose to work to earn money, her job is considered less important than her household duties. Also, she is allowed to do a job only if she manages to do it without neglecting the household work. In many families, men do share the housework. However, doing housework is not considered compulsory for men as it is for women. So, it is this traditional sexual division of labor that kept women confined to household activities, that kept women away from public life and hence responsible for their minimal role in politics. This has happened in many societies. Earlier, only men were allowed to participate in public affairs. They were not allowed to vote. They were only allowed to contest elections and hold public offices. This is what happened in France, isn't it? Did women get voting rights there? No. Could they hold public offices? No. So what did they do? They started their own clubs. They started their own newspapers to voice their demands. They demanded the right to vote. They demanded to be elected to the assembly. That means they struggled for equal political rights. This is what happened in different parts of the world also. Women organized themselves and struggled for equal rights, for getting voting rights, for enhancing their political status, for improving their educational and career opportunities. All such movements and campaigns which aimed at equality in personal and family life are called women's movement or feminist movement. Feminist movement works to dismantle the root cause of inequality that forces women into subordinate roles in society. It is because of these feminist movements that we can see an improved women's role in public life. In short, feminist movements are political expressions against gender division and aim at women empowerment. Today, we find women in every field. There are doctors, teachers, engineers, lawyers, managers. All these fields used to be dominated by men. But there are some countries, for example Scandinavian countries, where the participation of women in public life is very high. Let us now discuss different aspects of life in which women are discriminated against or disadvantaged in India. Indian society is largely a patriarchal society, male-dominated society. That is why it is believed that women lag behind and face disadvantage and discrimination. First, low literacy rate among women. The focus has always been on the education of male child. According to the 2011 census, the literacy rate among women 5.4% as compared to 82% among men. What can be the reason for this? The negative attitude of parents towards the girl child and her education. In most of the families, boys at home are given priority in terms of education, but girls are never treated in the same manner. Right from the beginning, parents do not consider girls as earning members of their family, as after marriage they have to leave their parents' home. So, spending on their education is considered a waste of money and time. For this reason, parents prefer to send boys to schools but not girls. There are also cases of dropouts from schools because they are needed at home to help do household chores and take care of small children. If you talk about higher education, even a much smaller proportion of girls go for higher studies. Next, unpaid work. In a survey, it was found that on an average, an Indian woman works 1 hour more than an average man every day. Yet, the work done by men is more visible because most of their work leads to generation of income. Women also do a lot of direct income generating work, but the bulk of their work is household related. This work remains unpaid. Next, unequal payment. Equal Remuneration Act was passed in 1976. According to this law, it is the duty of the employer to pay equal remuneration to men and women workers for the same work or work of similar nature. The objective of this law is to avoid discrimination against women and to treat them in a fair and justified manner. But what is the ground reality? We observe that in all areas of work, from sports to cinema or from factories to fields, women are paid less than men even when both do the same work. Next, low sex ratio. In India, the birth of a son is an occasion of joy and festivity, but the birth of a daughter is not always celebrated. In many parts of India, parents prefer to have sons and find ways to get a girl child aborted before she is born. Such sex-selective abortions have led to a decline in child sex ratio in the country to 919. This ratio has fallen below 850 or even 800 in some states. Next, domestic violence. Domestic violence is the most common form of violence against women. There are reports of various kinds of harassment, exploitation, and violence against women. Both urban as well as rural areas have become unsafe for women. They are not safe even within their own homes from beating and other forms of violence. Let us now revise the next subtopic, women's political representation. My dear students, against all such discriminations that we have discussed just now, women have been raising their voices, and many changes that have come is all because of their struggle. But there is still a lot to achieve. Feminists believe that unless women control power, their problems will not get attention. How is this possible? This is only possible when we have elected representatives. Let us see the real picture of elected representatives now. In India, the proportion of women in legislatures have been very low, less than 15%. First, the percentage of elected women members in Lok Sabha was 12% of its total strength for the first time in 2014 elections. They were 66 in number. The number increased slightly to 78 in the 17th Lok Sabha in 2019, that means 14.36%. In the recently concluded Lok Sabha elections 2024, the number came down to 73, which means 13%. Look at the screen. This is the percentage of women in the directly elected houses of parliament as on 1st October 2018. The world average stands at 24. It is highest in Nordic countries. Where is India? 11.8. She stands behind several developing countries of Africa and Latin America. She is among the bottom group of nations in the world. Now, what is the condition of women in the state assemblies? The share of women in the state assemblies is less than 5%. So, how to solve this problem? One way to solve this problem is to make it legally binding to have a fair proportion of women in the elected bodies, just like what has been done in the Panchayati Raj system. To give a similar representation to women in Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabhas, a bill was long pending in the parliament. Fortunately, it got passed in September 2023, giving 33% reservation to women in Lok Sabha, Vidhan Sabhas and the Vidhan Sabha of Delhi. This law is called Nari Shakti Vande Adhiniyam 2023. So students, this is all about political representation of women in India. Why is the picture like this? Can you think of some reasons? I think India is male-dominated society and hence the role of women in decision-making fields, which includes politics, is very low. They are neither encouraged nor motivated by family members to join politics. No family likes women to go outside and do netagiri. Political parties talk about political equality for women, but during elections, they hesitate to give tickets to women candidates. The literacy rate among women is low. This may be another reason. Okay, let us now revise the division based on religious differences. India, my dear students, is a home to diverse religions. Some religions have large followings, other faiths too have sizable followers. There are differences about the way people practice their religion. Accordingly, there are divisions in the sections of society, and these divisions are often expressed in the field of politics. Let us see some of the instances that involve a relationship between religion and politics. First, Gandhiji's view on religion and politics. Gandhiji used to say that religion can never be separated from politics. When he used the term religion, he never meant any religion like Hinduism, Buddhism or Sikhism. He emphasized the need that politics must be guided by the moral values derived from all religions. Second, human rights groups have established that religious minorities are the worst victims of the communal rights in our country. Therefore, they demand that special law need to be made to protect the religious minorities. Third, the women's movement have always argued that family laws of all religions discriminate against women. They therefore demand that these laws should be changed so that women get equal rights. In our country, different family laws apply to followers of different religions. Hindu Succession Act of 1956 applies to the Hindus. Muslim Personal Law or Sharia of 1937 applies to the Muslims. From all these examples, we find two things. 1. Religious differences make demands on the power structure in the country. 2. There is nothing wrong in developing a close relationship between religion and politics. Rather, a healthy relationship will only strengthen the roots of democracy. Ideals and values drawn from different religions should form the foundation of this relationship. Let us now go to the next subtopic, communalism. Communalism means to distinguish people on the basis of religion, to treat the persons belonging to one's own religion as friends and others as enemies. It is an ideology that emphasizes the separate identity of a religious group in relation to other groups, and that encourages a tendency to promote one's own religion at the cost of other religions. As far as our country is concerned, the spirit of communism was born during the British rule and was largely the result of divide and rule policy practiced by the Britishers. It found its climax in 1947 when the country was divided into two parts on communal lines. So mind you, a communal mind always sees religion as the basis of nation. Communalism, dear students, can take various forms in politics. Let us now see what they are. First, the most common expression of communal politics is in everyday beliefs, which routinely involve religious prejudices, stereotypes of religious communities, etc. Religious prejudice means negative attitude or behavior between people of different religious groups because of their differing religious beliefs. Stereotypes are fixed images of a person and a community. It is a sort of labeling some group or people. Another form of communal politics is the quest for political dominance of one's own religious community. This type of dominance is called majoritarian dominance. We have seen this in case of Sri Lanka. Next, political mobilization on communal lines is another frequent form of communalism. Political mobilization on religious lines means to bring together people of the same religion belonging to one country by involving the use of sacred symbols, religious leaders, and emotional appeals. You must have seen people using flags of a particular religious community in a rally or protest. During elections, appeals are made to voters to cast their vote according to the religion. It is done through political parties, party workers, etc., who reach out to the masses and play with their sentiments. Next, sometimes communalism takes the form of communal violence, riots, and massacres. Communal riots are nothing but clashes between two or more religious communities. Communal riots disturb social peace. We have experienced the worst kind of riots post-partition. My dear students, communalism was and continues to be a major challenge to democracy in India. Communalism is not a threat to some people in our country, but it threatens the very idea of India. If any of the religious groups were to assert their authority and lordships over other groups, there would be tension and internal conflicts. Fear and insecurity would grip the citizens. These are sufficient to shake the very foundations of democratic society. Therefore, it needs to be combated. How this can be done? A secular constitution is necessary to fight communalism. The makers of our constitution were aware of the challenges of communalism. Therefore, they chose to make India a secular state. This choice is reflected in several provisions of our constitution. First, there is no official religion for the Indian state. Unlike the case of Buddhism in Sri Lanka, that of Islam in Pakistan, and Christianity in England, our constitution does not give special status to any religion. Second, our constitution provides to all individuals and communities freedom to profess, practice, and propagate any religion of their choice. Third, it prohibits discrimination on the grounds of religion. And fourth, the Constitution allows the state to intervene in the matters of religion to ensure equality within religious communities. For example, it has banned untouchability. Let us now revise last topic, caste and politics. Dear students, you will find division based on gender or religion almost everywhere in the world. But division based on the caste system is something that is found in India only and nowhere else. If we go to our past, we find that Hindu society was divided into 4 varna or castes. It was based on duties performed by each. Individuals born into a particular caste had to take up the profession of that caste, even if he had the skill and ability to do some other work. Members of the same caste were supposed to form a social community. They had to follow the rules and customs of the caste. They could not violate caste rules for the fear of exclusion from their caste, a condition they feared even more than death. They married within the caste group. They did not eat with members of other caste groups. This system was based on exclusion of and discrimination against the outcast groups. The outcast groups were subjected to the inhuman practice of untouchability, so the caste system gave rise to inequalities. That is why social reformers and political leaders like Jyotiba Phule, Periyar, Gandhiji, Dr. Ambedkar, etc. worked towards removing caste discrimination and to establish a society in which caste inequalities are absent. Today, you can see great changes in the caste system in our country. This is due to the efforts made by these great men and partly due to some other factors like economic development, large-scale urbanization, growth of literacy, occupational mobility, etc. Urbanization has destroyed the feeling of caste system as many people from various castes live together in the cities. Cities have unique character where ghettoing of backward classes is not possible. This helps several different caste people live together. Moreover, urban dwellers care a damn about the caste norms. To them, it doesn't matter who is walking next to them on the streets. To them, it doesn't matter who is sitting next to them in a bus or an auto rickshaw. To them, it doesn't matter who is eating at the next table in a restaurant. Then, growing literacy and education is another important factor. Literacy has empowered the lower caste and given them many opportunities to explore. The values like equality are imbibed through education. Growing literacy has created political awareness among the masses, which helps them to exercise their political rights in an effective way. Literacy has helped to eradicate the myth related to caste. The next important factor is occupational mobility. This is a welcome change. There are infinite opportunities before them. Today one can choose a profession based on his or her likings, regardless of which caste one belongs to. The landlords in villages were upper caste people. The abolition of the zamindari system and land reforms has weakened their position. The tenants acquired the ownership rights. The agricultural laborers, mostly lower caste, cannot be forced to do begar. Economically, these people became stronger. The role of our constitution is equally important. Besides equality that it provides, it also prohibits caste-based discrimination. It has banned untouchability. Although significant changes have taken place in the caste system over the last few decades, it has not disappeared totally. Even now, most people marry within their own caste. Despite constitutional prohibition, untouchability has not ended completely. We still get to hear of such news from here or there. Effects of centuries of disadvantages continue to be felt today. A large mass of low caste people who didn't have access to education have lagged behind. Let us now revise caste in politics. Dear students, casteism is based on the belief that caste is the sole basis of social community. That means a casteist believes that people belonging to the same caste belong to a natural social community and have the same interest which they do not share with other castes. Caste can take various forms in politics. Dear students, it is often said that elections in India are caste-centric. People and parties talk about governance, development, employment, and other important issues. But as the day of voting comes closer, all the issues take a back seat and finally caste becomes important. So first of all, caste is an important factor where parties choose candidates for the elections. The caste composition of the electorate is an important consideration before a candidate is chosen. So the candidate so chosen generally belongs to the caste that dominates that area in number. After the election is over and the government is formed by the political party usually takes care that representatives of different castes and tribes are accommodated in the government. The idea is to give a fair representation to all caste groups in the government. That is where the Prime Minister or the Chief Minister, as the case may be, has to burn their midnight oil to keep all the groups happy, and this is always an uphill task. Next, during election campaigns, since no political parties and candidates want to lose elections, they raised caste issues to reap maximum advantage from it. During the election campaigns, they even make appeals to caste sentiments to get maximum support. These days you will find that some political parties serve as the representatives of some caste and favor them. Nowadays, voters are politically more conscious. They are aware of their rights. They are aware of the principle of one person, one vote. They know the importance of their votes, so the political parties have to make all-out efforts to mobilize them. Let us now discuss the next topic, politics in caste. The previous topic was what caste does to politics. Now we will revise how politics influences the caste. That means how the caste gets politicized. We know that there are many castes, and within each caste there are several subcastes. So each subcaste tries to become bigger by incorporating within it neighboring castes or subcastes which were earlier excluded from it. Since no caste groups can capture power alone, they make coalition with other caste groups or communities to strengthen themselves politically. That is why you will find that there is some kind of dialogue and negotiation going on between different groups. Thirdly, in the political arena, new kinds of caste groups have also come up like forward caste, backward caste, etc. This is all about politics in caste. Let us discuss the last topic now, advantages and disadvantages of the political expression of caste differences. Advantage number 1. It gives disadvantaged communities the space to demand their share of power. In this sense, caste politics has helped people from Dalits and OBCs to gain better access to decision making. Second, several political and non-political organizations are taking up the issue to end caste discrimination. They have been demanding more dignity and more access to land, resources and opportunities for certain castes. Next, disadvantages. First, giving too much attention to caste-based politics can divert attention from other pressing issues like poverty, development and corruption. Second, in some cases it may lead to tension, conflict and even violence. Thus, it will disrupt social harmony. This brings us to the end of revision. I hope you must have benefited from this revision. In this channel, besides lessons and MCQs, you are also getting one shot revision. Very shortly, I'll come with competency based MCQs also. So subscribe to this channel and stay connected. Thank you. Jai Hind.